So once again, Jon Jones is back in the news. Sends out a tweet today, a little bit cryptic. UFC 282. The little praying hands emoji. Leaves us all wondering, leaves us all questioning. Man, the last time we saw Jon Jones in the Octagon was February of 2020. Eked out a decision against Dominick Reyes. You remember that fight? It feels like forever ago, 2.5 years. Think about all the things that have happened in the UFC since then. Think about all the training that we've been seeing him doing, all the talk that we've been hearing about moving up to heavyweight, all the videos and pictures that he's been posting, just getting all super bulked up, lifting weights, working the mitts, looking all beastie, constantly talking about this and that. Think about all the way we've seen the belt change hands since then, the evolution of certain fighters, people coming up. A lot of things have happened in the UFC, particularly in the heavyweight division in the last 2.5 years. So now he sends out this tweet. This is on top of him talking about coming back for a long time now. He's always teasing us, always trying to stay relevant, always putting little things out there, always commenting, trying to stay on the tip of our tongue, trying to keep his name in the media. And I get it. When you don't fight for 2.5 years in a sport that constantly asks, what have you done for me lately? You got to find a way to stay relevant. You got to find a way to keep the buzz going when you're not fighting. As a little side note, I thought a master of that was Floyd Mayweather, constantly finding ways to keep people talking about him, even when he wasn't getting in the ring, constantly finding the ways to actually steal the momentum from other guys. Right? Love it or hate it, he was a master of it. Turn around and find a way to monetize that, and turn it directly into a paycheck. Now, Jon Jones isn't anywhere near on the level of being the PR guy that Floyd Mayweather was. He doesn't make the paychecks and this and that. But at the same time, you see him trying to utilize similar things, utilize little tactics. So he puts that tweet out there now. UFC 282, that would put us in December, which Dana White has already come out and said that he wanted to make a fight with Jon Jones at heavyweight before the end of the year. So that would be pretty much, I believe that was going to be like the last big card of the year. So that would be great. We get to see him. Now, personally, I think the main favorite, or the most likely opponent that we're going to see him against is going to be Stipe. Again, great fight. Now look, I'll be the first to admit this isn't the Stipe from a few years back, right? This isn't the Stipe who was on the dominant run. Like, he's kind of getting up there, man. Very inactive. One of the things that I always thought Stipe had going for him when he was coming up was he was a little bit smaller guy, had some speed advantage. Is he going to have that against Jon Jones? Probably not. And then on top of it, Jon Jones is like fighting an octopus with the huge reach and everything, and Stipe doesn't. He's got good power, but I mean, I don't know, man. It's just, I think it's not the best matchup for Stipe. At the same time, I think it's a great matchup for Jon, because if he comes out there and he looks good, which I would expect him to, and if he comes out there and he looks good, think about what that does for his resume. Everything that he's done at light heavyweight. Okay, it's easy sometimes to forget what this man's done because he's been doing it for so long. He's been dominant for so long. Think about when he came up when he was young and he wiped out the old guard, right? Remember what he did to Shogun? Remember what he did to Machida? Remember what he did to Rampage? Remember what he did to those guys? Remember the status that they held at the time? Think about what he goes on to do to Rashad, Glover Teixeira. Just the names, the list goes on and on and on. I get it. Alexander Gustafsson. Think about the fights with Daniel Cormier. What do you think about Daniel Cormier and what he brings to the table? Right? I think the man is a phenomenal fighter. Jon Jones was able to put it on. No doubt about it, right? It's the asterisk on the resume of Daniel Cormier. Went on to do phenomenal things, captured the heavyweight belt himself. But Jon got him, man. Jon was the better fighter. Just the way, at least at 205. Never got to saw him compete at heavyweight, but at least at 205. Last two fights, I would say that it wasn't the Jon Jones that we saw in the past. It wasn't the dominant force that we saw in the past. Think about that fight that he turned in against Thiago Santos. Got his leg was getting torn up in that first round. You think about the fight against Dominick Reyes. There's people that believe Reyes won that fight. I'll say he eked out a decision. Nevertheless, I wouldn't call it a robbery by any stretch of the imagination to go 3-2, right? 3 rounds to 2 for Jon. But wasn't the fighter that we used to see. Wasn't the dominant performances that we used to, for whatever reason, couldn't get up for it anymore, wasn't motivated. He's getting up there in age. Whatever, guys have been studying him forever at 205 pounds because he's been dominant for so long. So by the time they get there, they're just bringing their absolute A game, and they've got a plan that they've been putting together in their mind for years? Is that what it is? Either way, nevertheless, he moves up to heavyweight. Like I said, haven't seen him in 2.5 years. Super beastie, right? You see all these training videos. You see the weights that he's lifting and see all the work that he's doing. We know what kind of top-level nutrition he's getting. I'm excited to see him at heavyweight, man. Love him or hate him, the man is a phenomenal fighter. One of the best we've ever seen do it. And now we get to see him come back at the heavyweight division. So going in there and seeing him against Stipe, as I mentioned, I would expect him to look good. He would have a win over a former champion on his resume, along with all of the achievements that he got at the light heavyweight division. Man, who's he going to fight next? You know that they're going to put him in there for the belt. You know how the UFC does it. You know about storylines. You know how they do money fights. If Jon Jones goes in there and gets a win against the former champion in Stipe, who, by the way, was the most successful heavyweight of all time with the title defenses, goes in there and gets a win against him, you know they're going to give him the next shot against Ngannou. You know they're going to give him that next shot. They're not going to put him in there against, Cyril Gane if he gets the win against Tai Tuivasa or something like that. They're not going to hold him off. They're not going to give him Tom Aspinall after he comes back from the injury or something great. No, man, they're going to put him in that title fight. Now, do you think he's earned it? I guess that's another question, right? There's going to be a lot of people who debate that. There's going to be a lot of people who would look and say precedents and say when guys move up weight classes, they get title shots if they're the current champion. Now, Jon would be the current champion if he wouldn't have vacated. And I get the argument he would have had a lot of momentum on his side. Wants to jump up right away from 205, 6 months later, challenge for the belt, right? That's what we see from guys moving up to like 135 to 45, 145 to 55. They're the current champions, and then they move up and give it that shot. It's what we saw with Israel Adesanya, moving up from 185 to 205 when he challenged Jan. Jon's been out of the game for 2.5 years. So that makes things a little bit different than when we typically see guys move up and wait and challenge. So personally, I think it's a good thing that he doesn't get a title shot right away. I'm not for that. I don't think that he should just be able to immediately jump in, cut in the line, cut everybody else off, and get a shot. But if you get the wins against Stipe, it's going to be hard to deny him at that point. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think he's bluffing? Do you think he's going to be back at UFC 282? Are you excited to see him? And what do you think he's going to bring to the table at heavyweight? Is he going to be too slow? Is he going to lose a lot of his speed? Are these guys going to be bigger guys? Is it going to be more difficult for him to handle the power? Is his wrestling not going to be as much of a threat? Or is he going to come out there, continue to be the best, find a way to get it all done, and just look and just have an even more impressive resume when it's all said and done? Let me know what you guys think.